Happy Monday, everybody. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. We're about to do the Weird Things podcast here in a few minutes. Oh, there you go. Turn myself up a little bit. Hi, everybody. We're about to do Weird Things in just a moment. It's going to be me and Brian Rushwood and Justin Robert Young. And Jermaine is off on location looking for the lost city of Hotlantis. And I think he's going to find it. This time. I don't know that he can always... Hey, Justin. Oh, wait, what's going on? I can't hear you. On speaker. Oh, no, I didn't set the thing back up. Okay, hold on. I'll switch you to the other one for right now. How about that?
Did you say...
There it is.
Did you say the lost city of Hotlantis?
Absolutely, I did.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Isn't it good?
The lost city of Hotlantis.
Global warming can't stop this, Freaknik.
I know. Yeah, it's an aquatic Freaknik. They're making waves in more ways than one at Hotlantis.
I think your vocoder is on.
I feel like that should just be the beginning of every stream. Is you just reminding me that my
your
vocoder's on. Hold on.
Hey, Brian. Oh, I think there you go.
Yeah, got a little bit. I'm a little cut off at the forehead here. I'm good. Had a good day at the gym. How was the remainder of Saturday for you? Okay. I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday. But now it's content. Now I can make sweet dollars off of our conversation.
Be mined for the true value.
Saturday was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with all sorts of great people who came into town. Jason Murphy came out and hung out with us for a little while.
It was so great seeing so many people. I
Yeah.
mean, it every so often you just really feel it like, wow, we've touched a lot of lives over the last 10 years, and that's pretty great.
Yeah, it was an amazing turnout. Everyone was super great. Thank you, everybody who came out.
What do you guys think? What was our? It feels like it was our largest turn. It definitely felt like it was the first time that I remember that we just like owned the ball. Like there were so many of our people there that
Yes.
who even just wanted to drink was like, all right, well, they're
Turned
all
into Yes
enjoying
Man.
their
Yes.
Can
Yes.
You turn yourself up a little bit, Justin? Just a little bit. Yes. I love that the first time the Yes Man makes it onto the show, there's no questions involved. It's just everyone saying yes to statements. We're gonna try to have that episode out by tomorrow, and hopefully run at least a version of it on the live stream.
so everyone can see it edited.
Oh my God! I just remembered that we have Tuesday off.
Yeah, you have.
It's always one of the rarest of treats is like, ooh, what else happens to the world on Tuesday?
Maybe we should do a live watch party as we watch our own
Let's
show.
not do that. I'm gonna be cutting it very close to the wire on that. I remember. I think it was last year or one of these past conventions where it takes a while to edit down the live Night Attack shows because it's still multi-camera mixing, but then there's a lot of audio editing that goes into it, especially when there's a lot of music. And one of these past years, I wasn't done by the time the normal schedule show would have been rerun, so I had to play it through Premiere.
Oh, really?
On the live stream.
Oh, so you just like screw exporting. We're just gonna screen grab, and I'm just gonna play.
We're just going live.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right, it won't be a live watch party then. It'll just be a live watch Bryce party.
Yeah,
We'll just all harangue Bryce to edit faster.
It will be. We'll have something up. We will have something, and it's probably not at pre-show.
By the way, this was, you guys had like the GoPros and everything. Like this will be the most covered.
That was
We'll
a
see.
rad moment when I looked up and saw the GoPros.
Yeah.
Number one, it was
GoPro.
awesome. Oh, there was only one.
There was
okay.
only one, yeah.
All right. Well, I saw the one, and I was just like, man, Bryce has this on lockdown, man. Dude knows how to shoot an event. I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's-
it'll go well. So we had the master shot really high up on that ping pong table.
yeah.
But I think it was still not high enough.
Oh no.
So I think we'll see. James, I think that was also James's first time using a camera, but I feel real confident.
Using a camera like ever?
Well, using a nice
He's never
camera.
encountered this device before.
What?
He's using it to open cans and stuff. And you're like, no, you point at picture.
Camera, not camera.
It's my first time as the half-open jar of a can of tuna on the lens.
But it'll be a good time. Yeah, and so if you missed it, we're gonna put some of the music in the episode proper, and then the rest of the music is gonna be time exclusive for the Patreons. So check out patreon.com.
Yeah,
Do you want this monitor on, Bryce?
No.
Okay.
I'm hiding stuff from you.
Yeah, Patreon that up for Night Attack, but also Patreon it up for weird things. We should do the show. Let's do the show.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah. Sorry.
What are you gonna do? I'm just gonna say, hey,
Can you-
what's going on?
Go to
Turn yourself up a little bit
patriarchy.com.
more.
Oh shit, really?
Just a
Because
little-
I'm my board says I'm like blowing myself out here. So
Uh,
check.
Talking over
1,
you.
2,
Talking
3.
over you. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, that's good. Or double thumbs up. 'cause
You
you're good.
got it.
Okay, we're gonna do this first, and then we're gonna do this one, and then we're gonna do that. Okay, cool. I have an idea for the show. You guys wanna do this thing?
Yes, Andrew
You
Main.
All right, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weird Things podcast. I am, of course, Andrew Main, joined as always with Justin Robert Young.
Oh man, Andrew, remember since that you've known me since high school? Like we've like been friends for like damn near coming on 20 years.
Yeah, that's almost 2 decades, Justin. 20
Yeah.
years is almost 2 decades.
I just want to tell you, Andrew, that you're not only a good friend, but a mentor to me. So I just wanted to express that to you personally. Andrew made at the beginning of the show.
We rolled deep, Justin.
I feel like I missed an opportunity to pop in and make sure all three of us traded names in this episode. Like you say Justin Robert Young, and I respond.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm of course Brian Brushwood. I'm very confused about my timeline of how long I've been friends with Andrew.
And I'm Justin Robert Young.
Yeah. This is the
Bryce Castillo is on assignment.
Yeah, he's on assignment looking for Hotlantis underwater. We have some news stories here.
Splash.
I want to take you guys back in time.
Yes.
About 8,000 years ago.
That's you know what? 8,000 years is one of those, I guess it's prehistory-ish, but not so far that we're looking at fossils. That's a weird like blank space in the past to me. I'm glad we're going there. That'll be great.
Have you guys ever heard of Monte Cronio?
Yes. That was
that's a casino.
That was the low budget knockoff of Monte Cristo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only $2 at happy hour at the Denny's.
That's correct.
The Monte
Have a Monte Chromio.
It's basically the Monte Cristo without the powdered sugar.
Where's they put saccharin on it instead of powdered sugar.
They do, yeah. And just for whatever reason, baking flour. You're like, this just doesn't even taste good. No wonder this didn't take off. Monte Cronio.
So Monte Cronio is a mountain in Sicily. Italy, and
is that the rock that the boot's kicking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it is. And deep below Monte Cronio is a system of caves filled with hot sulfuric vapors. This is reporting from theconversation.com.
And above those caves, ladies in bodices are constantly fanning themselves.
Why, Brian? Why would they be fanning themselves?
Well, I'm afraid I've gotten a case of the vapors yet again. I can't believe. Out of time, out of place. I can't believe this.
They were indeed catching those vapors. That's why they're stationed there, so they can safely catch those vapors and they don't infect the townsfolk.
Yes.
So at the lowest levels of these caves, the temperature averages 99 degrees Fahrenheit and is at 100% humidity. Human sweat cannot evaporate, and in about 20 minutes, people can be affected by heat stroke.
Oh, because you have no ability to regulate your own temperature because the only tool you have is sweating, and that doesn't do anything.
Right, and so there are records that ancient people have visited Monte Cronio and these very dangerous caves for about as far back as 8,000 years. They found vessels from the Copper Age. This would be the 6th to the 3rd millennia BCE. Storage jugs, basins, jars. So before we go into this, what do you think people were using these storage containers for in a very hard to reach, very dangerous place?
Oh, so it's like they're putting something in these vapor caves.
Well, there's something in my mind. They're going to the vapor caves just for whatever surreal experience. Like humans have sought to alter their consciousness like forevs, and that's what they woke historical people called it forevs.
This is Brian's new character, Hello Woke Historian, Brian Brushwood.
Hardcore woke history.
This is the result of theism, IMO.
I would imagine that they went down there to have some kind of religious experience, and they needed beef jerky, so they put it in a bucket. They went down with a bucket of beef jerky.
Like you do.
A bucket of BJ.
There's so much beef jerky, you need to have a bucket full of it.
That seems, it just feels right.
Okay, it's possible.
What say you, Justin?
So I would say it's either something very valuable, like because it's hard to get to, and so this would be a place where like you would put some kind of cultural artifact or something like that, or it is like they're just putting animal poop in there, so in the hopes that somebody will retrieve it and they'll huff it and they'll get like.
You think it's like an 8,000 year prank that they're doing? They're like, Hey, let's
Oh
put
yeah,
a
no,
bunch
no, no.
of.
It's a bag, a paper bag with dog poop in it, and they're like rubbing flint rocks together so they might light it. And Old Man Vapor Cave is gonna come out and step in it.
They're doing Ding Dong Ditch with Zeus.
Cave.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, you meddling! It's Italian. You meddling a kids! Oh, my vaporware shoes all splattered.
So deep in these caves, they have found human skeletons next to these artifacts, and archaeologists still don't exactly know what they're using for. Brian, I think you had a very good theory that they were possibly
were
tests
going to
of
get-
strength
Yeah.
or burial rites for very important people. But the things that were found in the jars has been recently identified.
It's an AMD brand Radeon 9600. Everybody blown
Overclock.
away. They couldn't believe it.
15% overclock. Crazy that they could do it back there. With the heat and all? That's why it's so hot. That's why it's so hot down there.
Yeah, that one's cooking.
So in 2012, November 2012, geographers and speleologists went down.
Speleologists?
Went down below Monte Cronio and received just 100 milligrams of powder from 5 different ceramic vessels in these caves. This conversation.com article is written by one of the researchers who examined some of this powder and found that in at least one of the jars, they found grape wine from 5,000 years ago.
Wait, still intact? Oh, because
No.
of the humidity thing. Because it's so humid, it didn't all evaporate.
Well, it
'Cause
was powder. It was powder.
Oh,
so it
got
did
it.
evaporate
Okay.
Because it was so long ago. But about 5,000-year-old grape wine was in one of these jars. 4 of them had organic residue. 2 had animal fats. And another had plant residues, which were probably a stew. They're inferring that it was a stew. But
so they were picnicking down in this miserable vapor-filled cave.
or it could have been an offering. It could have been an offering to a god or a goddess for
A final
the
offering
bounty.
to Vape Nation.
Turns out it's the original Patreon.com. They're all like, if you enjoy my stories by the campfire, please bring a jug of
vessel of
wine
wine.
and some stew.
But this is actually kind of rocking our ideas of the Copper Age in this area because, and I'm going to generalize this a little bit, evidence has been found of
Yeah, come at us, Copper Age. You can't even post in the
Hey,
comments.
I'm tired of you. I'm a tin man myself.
So during Copper Age era tools have been found in the Aegean areas, the Sicilian areas, but there are not ore deposits that would lend itself to smelting or the creation of copper tools. But the belief that now wine was being created that early, 5,000 years ago, meant that we could have also seen basic trade.
Wait, so I was double right. I was thinking they were just going in the caves to get messed up and I don't know, inhale vapors and be hot and hallucinate or whatever.
Sure.
But
Or die.
if this is evidence that they're also making booze back then, then you know.
And not just that, but also trading for these tools. We now have a possible explanation for how these tools got into this area where copper was not abundant.
People are like, "Hey man, I'm Joe Pickaxe. You'll never believe what I just made." They're like, "Dude, I'm Fred Booze, and you ain't seen nothing yet. We got to trade."
Exactly. It was a party that the eyes had it by the end because they were on the floor when old Ted Booze and Fred Pickaxe got together for the first time. So I guess you mentioned earlier the idea that it could be like a trial offering that like the wisest and strongest can only go into the vapor caves and leave an offering for the Lord or I don't know, whatever deity that they were all into in 8,000 years ago.
Yeah,
They would end their prayers with "We get it, you vape," and then they would walk inside.
Yeah.
we get it. You go into the caves. But this is fascinating because this is new. This is further big revelations about the copyright about thousands of years ago
Well,
that are helping fill in the pieces.
It really is one of the so in the macro, we of course, we know the story of evolution, and we can center in. I guess humans became humans like 250,000 years ago. We were pretty much genetically identical to where we are now.
See, this is the value of Andrew on the show.
Yeah, no, that's
Andrew's
you
the
would know that immediately.
Yeah.
Bryce
That sounds right. Yes,
Neshcom
I know.
Castillo would know this.
He would know that,
but
but
he's not here.
he's
We
not
only
here.
have the
As
actual
Andrew, I can say
Main.
you're
Yeah,
about right.
sure.
250,000 years ago.
But that prehistory, before everybody was writing stuff down, that's just lost and gone forever, and it breaks my heart.
Well, and we're now able to take very old, very affected material like this dust, basically this particles, and be able to make better inferences about the timeline of some of this stuff.
Yeah,
part
I
of it
guess
is
that is exciting. It's not that there's there's going to be an increase in artifacts, but what artifacts we do have, we will have an increased ability to extrapolate what they meant as we get smarter and eventually robots take over everything.
Because you would think, okay, well, this is an area where copper tools probably couldn't easily be made, so you would think that they probably traded, but there's nothing necessarily special in this area. But now we know, oh, well, if they were making wine, that could be a very important exclusive export for this region of the world.
Yeah, and I guess that's interesting because almost certainly, like, we already know all over the world, animals discover that, a certain time of year eating rotten fruit gets them messed up, and then they go back to it and do it on purpose. So my guess is it would be the equivalent of going from cocaine to crack, where it's just like, well, we've all done cocaine, and you're like, have you seen this? It goes in a cup and you can drink it. What? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's exactly like that. I think that metaphor totally tracks.
Okay, so you nailed it. It's as if you're peering back 8,000 years on the Weird Things show as one man says to the other for the first time, it's great. It gets you really high.
It's crack. It's great.
So there's a little bit of time travel for you. Before we get into our next story, I do want to give a shout out to patreon.com/weirdthings.
Heck
So
yeah, man.
here's the deal, man. A lot of people have said for years that there's no way you can make money talking about this kind of crap on the internet. That everybody will, if you were to put yourself out there and ask for the support of your listeners.
Do you remember 8 years ago when we walked into the offices of Ted Hollywood and said we think we could talk about ghosts and stuff on the internet? And Ted Hollywood had us physically escorted out of the
executed
venue.
out of the building.
Yeah, we were executed. Man, real jerk, that Ted
What a
Hollywood.
jack.
He didn't believe in us at all.
This guy, man, so we went to our new best friend, Elliot Patreon, and said, hey, do you believe in us? And he said, literally, I believe in everybody. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. So we hitched our star to his wagon, and man, has it paid off, because now you are able to support this show directly. Head on over to patreon.com/weirdthings. Where not only do you get After Things, our show that we do after Weird Things a little bit earlier, but you get a custom RSS feed where anytime that we do anything extra, you make sure that you get it automatically.
That's right. Check it out, patreon.com/weirdthings. I have a scenario, and I'm going to need some investigators on this one.
Oh, thank goodness. We're here. It's Ted Hollywood and
Elliot Patreon.
I was going to say Fred Pickaxe.
Oh,
Like,
oh
time
my
traveling.
God, what a blast from the past. What is this, Bill and Ted's?
Yes, we show up in our phone booth with all of these characters, including Fred Pickaxe.
Yeah.
Are they?
Hey, I mean, I just made this thing.
It's really unclear what my contribution to this group is. I mean, how many situations do you need somebody to invent a pickaxe for?
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't even know what it's called yet. He's like, how many times do you need a double pointer?
a Pokinator. That's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
about calling it.
So I just invented this rock chipper. And then meanwhile, Sam names things is like, we can simplify that. And then he
Sam
winks
names
directly at the camera.
things. What are you good at, Sam? Oh, I've got a very particular knack.
Okay, so I I need 2 investigators.
This is why Andrew needs to be on the
Sorry,
show.
you got the whole crowd. We just showed up in the phone booth through time.
I need 2
I think he
investigators.
was setting up that he might want another 2 investigators that are always on the show and haven't been on in a while.
We'll see if they show up.
Let's see who gets on the plane. I have 2 tickets to Batang Natal in Indonesia.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Sure. Well, I'm gonna send Fred Pickaxe.
Okay, right. Good. We're playing in the space, and I'm loving it. Justin, who do you send for your ticket to go with Fred Pickaxe, inventor of the pickaxe?
Oh, fully defined character, Fred Pickaxe. What a rich set of complications we have in store for us as Fred Pickaxe, iconic Weird Things character, is dispatched to solve this mystery.
Okay.
I'm going to send along with him famed investigator Snoop Shepherd.
Snoop Shepherd. Is he? Okay.
Okay. Snoop Shepherd and Ed Pickaxe? Ted Pickaxe?
Fred.
Pickaxe. Got
Fred.
it. I just want to make sure.
Short for Frederico.
Oh, geez. He's already updating the DC TVpedia for the new characters.
Yeah.
So you guys board your plane toward Batang Natal in Indonesia.
Fred Pickaxe screaming nonstop. What the F word? What is happening? Oh my God.
Because he doesn't know what a plane is. God. This is going to be great. I forgot why we stopped doing these.
Scoop Shepherd calmly brings his Earl Grey tea from his lips and says, there's a mystery around.
So you guys you're reading your dossiers in this small sub-district of...
Can Fred Pickaxe read?
Yeah,
You know what?
Does he know what a manila envelope is?
Fred Pickaxe only he knows enough socially to tell that he's supposed to be doing something right now. So he just plays along like everyone else, and he occasionally grunts like, "Ooh, well, how about that?"
Well, then,
And meanwhile he's just fingering the edge of his pickaxe, nervously.
they let him bring it on the plane.
Yeah, well, yes. So he's Fred Pickaxe. He explained when they asked for an ID, he just held up. He's like, "You see this?" And they were like, "Good point."
Good point.
They-
The TSA, man. The TSA,
They really,
man.
dude. I mean, it's all security theater nowadays. They're not really interested.
Okay, so illiterate 8,000-year-old inventor of the pickaxe,
Yes.
Fred Pickaxe, is now being dispatched and unable to read his dossier. But what does famed investigator and catchphrase artist, there's a mystery around, Scoop Shepherd, what does he read in his dossier?
Scoops reads in his dossier that a remote Indonesian village has been under attack by a shapeshifter.
Fred Pickaxe leans over and says, "Hey, I can totally read all these words, but I just want to hear your summary. I'd like to test you on your summarizing abilities.
Yes.
What do you think these words say?"
Well, sweet accomplice Fred, I, Scoop Shepherd, do believe, after perusing these documents, that there is a shapeshifter afoot in Nepal. There's a mystery around.
Hey, as Fred Pickaxe, even I know that Indonesia is not Nepal, and that's mildly culturally insensitive of you,
You
Scoop
passed
Shepherd.
your first test,
Oh,
Pickaxe.
Oh, good.
That's a classic Scoop Testaroo.
Scoop Testaroo. All right, right on.
Yeah. And you passed
Nailed it.
Testaroo.
Yeah.
Now let's pass through this part of the conversation.
There we go. So you land in Batang Natal in North Sumatra, and you are on the lookout for what they call a siluman.
Suleiman?
Which is a shapeshifter, a murderous sort of shape-shifting beast. What do you guys start with? Where do you begin?
Well, first thing I do is I say, "Where's your pickaxe, jerk? Bet you wish you had one. Murderous shapeshifter running around." And then I say, then I look at him
Noted
double.
weapon pickaxe.
And then I look at him with cross-eyed, or I don't know.
Wait, does Fred Pickaxe even know that a pickaxe can be used as a weapon?
We're still feeling it out. We're not sure where the market is on this. All I know is pretty great. It's got a point on this end.
The way I understand it is he like literally was just a guy who accidentally put a stone on top of a branch, and then immediately we swooped him up.
So I don't know if I can trust you. Maybe you're the. How do I know you're the real Scoop Shepherd?
Well, the results will speak for that. And also, how would you know you were born 8,000 years
Tell me
ago?
something. Tell
Do
me
you
something
even know
that
the
only
idea
Scoop
of a
Shepherd
scoop?
would know.
Do you know the concept of a scoop? Either
Yeah.
the metaphorical or the literal. Either one.
Scoop Shepherd, tell me something only Scoop Shepherd would know, or else. And then I hold up the pickaxe menacingly.
For the first time realizing that you can menace somebody with your invention.
Also, this is called fretting. Now, I'm not good as names like you.
Well, I'll tell you what. First things first, follow me, dear boy. Although you're 8,000 years older than me. I'll show you that I am indeed the famed Scoop Shepherd as we go and conduct our first interrogation.
Okay.
I-
That
we-
sounds
we
like something
parked-
Scoop Shepherd would say.
Sure.
Checks out.
Let's sync up with local law enforcement. And so I walk to a police station so I can ask about the Suleiman.
Sure. You meet and talk with Molis Shanturi, who is very insistent that you do not kill the beast.
Wait, I hold up a pickaxe and say, "Why not?"
They don't really understand what. I don't think you've got the verbal
Something
language
was lost
of it
in
yet.
translation.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Understood. We will bring this beast into custody unharmed.
It's
However,
it's very
can you-
rare. It's very important. You probably want to not kill it.
Can you please tell us what the behavior of this beast?
Well,
Like, what has it done to menace your townsfolk?
well, it's lurking around at night. People see it, but we haven't yet had an incident of a killing yet.
Wait,
but
this thing's a killer? How do you know if it's a killer? It ain't killed nothing.
it's lurking around the village.
You
And
don't
it's-
got a killer, you got a lurker.
And it's a shapeshifter.
We in my
It's
village we
taking the
called
shape-
them peeparoos.
Okay, Fred. Let's let the law enforcement
Okay.
give us the full shape of things before we start making scurrilous accusations.
Spoken like a peeparoo. I don't know.
So it's a shapeshifter, and we've had instances of animals sort of being attacked, and naturally the people are afraid for their lives. There's a superstitious element to it, but they know it's around.
Oh, this word you keep using, shapeshifter.
Sure.
That would imply that there is empirical evidence to prove that there have been multiple shapes for which it has shifted into. Can you please read for me now the catalog of shapes for which you have seen this beast shift into?
Fred Pickaxe rolls his eyes. It's like always with this one, huh? Hey.
Well, the Suleiman has mostly been seen in the shape of a tiger, and it has often been found hanging out underneath the villagers' houses.
Fred holds up his pickaxe as if to ask a question and says, "Have you considered the possibility that maybe it's a tiger that is living underneath people's floorboards?"
I think it's a very real possibility.
Okay.
So we have one shape, tiger shape.
Shapeshifter would imply.
Shapeshifter would imply
I think
that it
Scoop
would
is onto
change
something
into
here.
something else.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we have tiger. I'm writing it down. I bring out a very a rich Corinthian leather notebook of which I write with a with a Mont Blanc fountain pen.
Sure.
One dot tiger. I write two
Other
dot and I-
shapes, colon.
Well, listen,
Okay, so here we go. 2. What's the second shape?
We don't. Well, it's more of a superstitious thing. Rumors gets around. Listen, I have to get back to work doing whatever it is that I do. But I am going to leave you gentlemen to concoct a plan to solve this problem.
All right.
The ink dot being poured out of this fountain pen becomes hilariously large on the page as nothing is written past 2 dot.
It's staining and spreading.
Just spreading like a Rorschach size ink blot.
It's leaking to the paper below it, and it's a very thick grade of paper too.
Yeah,
all right.
It starts dripping. One drip hits the floor because so much ink has spilled out of this pen as Scoop Shepherd has waited. All right, so he has to leave. Fred, if we are to understand that there is a tiger around and people believe that he is changing into other shapes, it seems to me that this is just kind of a tiger. We should just be on lookout for tigers.
It does seem like it could be a tiger, since that's literally the only form that's been mentioned. But as a shapeshifter, you know quite well that it could be this pickaxe. I throw the pickaxe on the ground and then kick it, and I'm like, I don't think it's this pickaxe. And then I pick up the pickaxe again. But also, I never call it a pickaxe.
I think it's time for us to go tiger hunting because there's a mystery around.
Always that catchphrase.
There's a commercial
man.
break here. There's
All right, so let's go.
card.
Let's go to the village and interview the folks who last saw the creature.
Let's go to concocting a plan. My data set is a little exhausted.
All right. Here's what we're gonna do, Fred. We are going to spend the night under the last house that this tiger was
Where
seen
was it?
at.
A stakeout.
And we
A
are going-
stakeout. That's what we called it in my village 8,000 years ago.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on our house climbing under clothes.
Sure. So where are you staking out? Are you staking out under the house, outside of the house, looking at the house?
Under the house. We're going right where we're gonna see if we can see maybe there's something that's attracting
Crawling
this tiger.
underneath the house, I realized that it would be a lot more comfortable if the ground was just a little bit lower. It's so tight. And then with dawning realization, I look at my right hand and realize that a pickaxe can be used to dig a trough. So I dig a trough
Under the house?
under the house so
You
that
have
we
the,
can
you have
cozy up.
the mobility to swing?
As far as you know. Yeah.
There we go.
Fred, not to say that when all you have is a pickaxe, everything is loose soil, but we should probably investigate the under the house before we start digging it up or messing around with its composition.
Fred taps the side of his nose and winks.
This is why we make a great team.
And the residents of the house come out, and they're very happy that you're helping to capture the Suleiman. They even give Scoops. They give you a spear, so you're not empty-handed. Also,
I take a deep, reverent bow, unsure of whether or not I'm supposed to do it.
they don't quite bow, but then they turn and walk away.
I awkwardly pause and turn it into a curtsy.
Okay, they've already turned around, so they're just assuming. They're assuming that's what you did, and they're very happy with that.
I then immediately turn to Fred and say, "You have to respect the local customs."
Okay, so you guys are staked out underneath the house.
Well, do we see anything special underneath the house?
There's nothing special underneath the house. It looks like any sort of crawl space. There's some trash, a little bit of trash, or nothing.
All right, all night long, nothing pops up.
Well,
I invent a game to pass the time, drawing in the dirt. It involves
You invented
X's
drawing
and
also.
O's, and I suggest that could someone get 3 in a row? Let's find out.
Call it picks and axes.
Pickaxes and holes.
Pickaxes and pick circles.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as I see Fred draw it, I say, "Okay, well, it looks like you're busy. I'll take first sleep shift. Wake me if you see anything." And I immediately go to sleep.
Okay. It is about 3 a.m., and you start to hear a rustle. It had been mostly quiet. Most of the village has gone back to sleep. And you hear
Hearing the rustle, I wake up. Scoop, and I just whisper, "It's your turn."
Okay, so you're both in the weird, awkward place where you're still awake, and you've just woken him up.
Right.
Cool, man.
And you hear behind you the soft footfalls of what sounds like an animal.
Do they sound like padded feet, like a tiger would have?
Maybe.
Yes.
How? So it does. Everything is consistent with that of a tiger.
Yeah. But in fact, when you turn around, you see starting to crawl underneath the house a tiger.
Scoop grabs his spear and wakes up Fred, who had just gone to sleep. And I say, "Sorry, I know that you just went to sleep, but a tiger's literally here."
And Fred says, "A tiger? Didn't the shapeshifter once appear as a tiger? Could it be? What if
And I
it's
say, "Yes, it appears that not only is the mystery here, but so are we."
And Fred says, "We did it again," and holds up his pickaxe.
Scoop just intentionally moves over the fact that they just met.
So you're when you stop to look at the tiger, it stops and kind of just looks at you.
Scoop says to the tiger, "Hey, tiger, 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 who wants a spear?" And I point the spear.
Listen, I'm 8,000 years in the past. Are you sure this is the great? Are you trading? Are you giving the spear? Are you threatening?
There's no one answer to a mystery, young pickaxe. We need to feel this one out. So I point the spear at the tiger. What does it do?
It starts to sort of raise its hind legs as it looks like it's about to
Raise its hind legs.
You know, it's
so it does a
it
handstand.
does a handstand to get that classic shapeshifter move. I'm kidding. No, it's getting in ambush position.
Oh, I see. So it's like the hackles are raised and his
Yeah.
hindquarters are arched.
So
and
now
on.
I say, I what if I put down the spear? We are all friends here. I commune with you. Scoop points 2 index fingers to his temples and begins to attempt to make a mental link with the Suleiman.
Okay, I'm gonna flip a coin to see which of you is closer to this. And so the tiger pounces on Fred Pickaxe.
Fred Pickaxe holds up a pickaxe and says, "I will trade this for my life. It's a very valuable invention. Haven't figured out what it's
fool.
good for yet."
Very offended, Scoop regrabs the spear and says, "You have violated our mental compact. Now prepare to face the consequences," and stabs the tiger.
It's still got a little life left in it, but it's still on top of Fred.
Fred, I try to move the tiger so Fred can get loose.
So you try to maybe you use your foot to kind of kick off the tiger a little bit, and you loose the spear. But this is kind of a big tiger. The tiger looks kind of big, as they tend to be. And I don't think it's quite done yet. I think it still thinks it's got its can overpower you guys.
I mean, Fred is kicking and
start
punching
banging
and screaming.
I start banging on the floorboards and trying to alert the family in the house upstairs that the tiger is here and injured.
Yeah, flash sideways to the family. They all wake up and run to the doors and lock all the doors and then go back to sleep.
These are well-adjusted people who are
They've been dealing with this
very
for a little
unperturbed.
while.
Yeah, right on.
All right, I say to Fred.
But now
it
you have the
seems
spear
like
again.
You've got this handled. I'm gonna go get the cops.
I say maybe things are different in the future, but where I come from, this is not a great situation. I don't have it handled very well, and I'm saying all this while
You're
I'm
killing it right now. You're doing great.
No, it's killing me. I'm not killing it. Yeah, it's killing me.
But we can't kill it. We were specifically told at the beginning that we can't kill. We need to bring it in alive. We made a promise. And unlike this a-hole, I don't violate my compacts, either verbal or mental.
Well,
the
it
tiger
sounds like
is slowly
you have
coming
something
back.
called integrity, which we didn't have 8,000 years ago. So I'm gonna kill this thing, and I take the pickaxe and just start swinging at it, trying to brain it right there in
Yeah.
the temple.
You misjudge how long the handle is, and you stab it in the abdomen again. And it looks like the shapeshifter is down.
He's shapeshifter down.
All right. So it looks like you have this totally under control. I'm gonna go get
Really
the
don't.
cops.
Really don't. Really don't.
This time, I take both of my fingers in both of my index fingers, but instead of trying to make a mental link, I put them in my ears and run away to go get the cops.
Okay, so I take a look
Okay.
at the shapeshifter tiger.
Okay.
First I check out the paws. Anything weird about the paws?
No, not really. We can look at this this image of about what the tiger looks like here. Here we go. This is about what it looks like.
I
Except
say,
imagine bloodied and
who's
with
a
a
big
pickaxe.
kitty cat with 2 holes in its side where we attacked?
That's,
You are.
that's like a fun nursery rhyme.
Well, also I wrote that. I'm also Fred Nursery Rhyme. I
call
forgot to
them
mention that.
Pickaxe songs.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I tell stories. I call them pickaxes. You know.
But you don't notice anything unusual about the tiger or the shapeshifter, except it is bleeding out and its last sort of life forces are probably
I think
draining out of it.
to nobody in particular, since I'm alone, I was like, I think we just killed a tiger. I wonder if they're endangered in the future.
So Justin, you went off to go grab someone. Who do you go tell?
The cop that we talked to earlier.
Okay, well, you wake the cop up because it's still the middle of the night.
Right. Skyrim rules, and he stands up. He was sleeping fully clothed on the cot.
Yeah.
But his
And it's-
animation gets back to his initial standing pose first.
Yeah. Yes. And then he casually says, "Good to see you again."
Okay, so yes, hello, what up? It's good morning.
We have your Suleiman. It is injured but not dead. I would beg you now to come retrieve it.
Oh, you attacked it. Where? Take me to it. Where is it?
You got it, and I stop him right
You
before
use
we
fast travel because it's Skyrim rules to instantly go there.
I stop him before we get to the threshold of the door, and I say, "You will find that there's now a solution to a mystery here."
the
the
cop
equivalent
says,
of-
I don't get that call back. I wasn't there for that.
Don't worry.
It makes sense. Okay.
Don't worry. Hey, it's another. Let's just leave.
Sure. Yeah. So you take the cop back.
When you
And-
guys come back, Fred Pickaxe is explaining his new game to the sleeping body of the tiger. He's like, "Well, you are the pickaxes, and these are the holes."
Well, and so Scoops arrives with the cop. The cop's mortified. No, you. Oh my God, you did kill it. It's dying. You killed it. What- how could you? How could you do this? I told you not to do it. It's very rare.
I look over the shoulder. I was like, "Oh, you're welcome."
Wait a minute. Hey, constable. Very rare. So you know what this thing is.
Yes. What do you think it is?
What,
It's
this
a
is
tiger. Where do you think we are?
Oh, I thought there was a shapeshifter. You mentioned.
I said the reports are that it's taken the form of a tiger.
This is a tiger.
Yeah. And where are we? We're in Sumatra.
We're in the jungle. Yes.
Yes, this is one of less than 400. This is a very endangered tiger.
Oh.
This is a Sumatra. It is a threatened species.
Oh.
Critically endangered. What did you do?
about that. So it doesn't change shape.
Of course not.
Why were we told this? Does anyone believe this is a shapeshifter?
Well, the people of this village do. So, to bust through reality, in northern Sumatra, a rare Sumatran tiger was executed and then hung in a public house.
Who hangs a?
This is a blurred but still pretty graphic image.
Oh my God!
A tiger hung from the rafters in this village. They believed it was a shapeshifter, but despite authorities and conservation experts telling them to not do it because it was an extremely rare species,
Wow.
the residents went ahead.
Turns out they had just watched John Carpenter's The Thing, and they're like, we wanted to do the blood test thing, but we didn't get around to it.
It is at that point that Scoop looks at the local law enforcement and gives him a very brisk slap to the face, and says, "Listen here, Mister. We're not barbarians like those a-holes who hung that tiger and bled it out from a ceiling. We tried to find it for you. We tried to injure it but not kill it, and it just so happened to die doing what it loved, playing pickaxes and holes with Fred Pickaxe. Nobody's perfect. I think we can all chalk this up as a win for everybody."
Except the tigers, maybe. I think
So let me give you a hearty "you're welcome," and let's go.
On to the next mystery.
That whole phenomenon, though, man. You read about the Salem witch trials or those episodes of mass hysteria. Like, once you have corrupted information that goes out, people do some nutty stuff. They do some naughty.
Sure, especially if it can tie into long-held beliefs.
Well,
or regional...
we've talked about all of the various, goblin sightings and how essentially they're just straight up murdering outsiders because they're saying you're a goblin. Yeah, it's okay to kill you now.
I mean, I think that's kind of the darker end of us being pattern recognizing creatures is when there are weird patterns. We have weird ways of wanting to close that loop. And sometimes that means doing horrifying, awful things outside of the context for which they were done. And I mean, also inside of the context, but more so outside.
In this case, I think that is a very prominent element to this. There's also investigators have been looking into the killing and found that the tiger is missing some of its teeth, its claws, skin from its face and tail, and all of these are body parts that are often used in medicine and sold on the black market.
So so they left it alive, or sorry, the corpse had those.
The corpse
things
was missing these things. So
got it.
There's partially that element of we could materially use the corpse of this lion alongside mass hysteria elements, and the truth of the matter is still to be determined on where everybody and who is at fault. But
wow.
And it's tough because this is a critically endangered species, and there are really strict rules against hunting endangered species.
I mean, to be honest, this reminds me. The story of the guy who discovered the Methuselah tree.
Oh, yes, but
dude goes out to the desert, finds a really old looking tree. Say, wonder how old this is. Cuts it down, starts counting rings. As he gets over 1,000, he starts to realize, I think this was the oldest living tree in all of history. And then it's like, ooh, about that.
Isn't that, man? We got to figure out a new way to date trees.
Yeah, they also they can by coring that. So instead of actually cutting it, all the way across,
you cut all the way through.
You basically take a straw-sized core sample and then count.
Well, and that's why the location of the current oldest tree is not known because people will go and find it and cut it down.
The new champion is just like, I'm just gonna be over here.
How many people How many people on the planet do you think know the actual location of the oldest tree?
I'll bet thousands.
Thousands?
Yeah, because I would imagine
that's
large academic circles. So that's
like an open secret.
Yeah, I think that's one of those like kind of like a magic trick, right? Where it's like you have groups and groups of people that know, but because I'm sure there are scientific reasons you would want to go visit it. But
Yeah,
just as a courtesy thing, as an etiquette thing, you don't go telling everyone.
Yeah.
So it would just be not in the research. Like they just wouldn't have a GPS coordinate in the research.
So here's a weird one.
Okay.
I'm gonna describe this and see if you could find the story on it. But there is a historical tree in Austin. I want to say like a treaty oak or battle something oak. But somebody, if I'm remembering the story
Treaty
right,
oak. Yes.
somebody tried to poison the tree as part of a Satanist ritual.
Really?
Like, and so he just buried giant bags of fertilizer at its roots and be like, ha ha, world's slowest murder of the world's,
I see.
strangest victim.
Here we go. This is on Wikipedia. In 1989, in an act of deliberate vandalism, the tree was poisoned with the powerful hardwood herbicide Velpar. Lab tests showed the quantity of herbicide used would have been sufficient to kill 100 trees.
And why does it, like, that's a weird thing to, like, I can't understand what a murderer thinks, but I can at least understand really disliking another human being. But waking up each day, having it out for a tree,
Sure. The alleged vandal, Paul Cullen, was apprehended after reportedly bragging about poisoning the tree as a means of casting a spell. He was convicted of felony criminal mischief and sentenced 9 years in prison.
he went to 9 years for tree murder?
He was sentenced to
Dude,
starve,
there was
Attempted.
also a famous on the campus of Auburn University. There are two famous oak trees that a victorious Auburn fans and students will throw toilet paper on. That's like the tradition. And of course, Auburn, big rivals with Alabama, and Alabama super fan poisoned those trees, and then called a local radio show to brag
about it. Wow.
about it, and he wound up going to jail for it.
Yeah, man. Apparently, treaty oak did survive. Though about 2/3 of the tree did die. More than half of its crown had to be pruned because of the vandalism.
Huh.
That's
Now
wild.
it's a treaty stick.
I have one last clip for you guys to watch here. I'm going to turn the audio up a little bit. Tell me what you think you see here.
So we're seeing like black and white military, looks like night vision stuff. It looks like it's from a aircraft, but we're seeing something just jet across the screen.
Yeah,
like a very fast moving object.
It looks. It would look if this were not special equipment. It kind of moves at the speed that like a bird would fly past your iPhone screen if you were just like taking a picture of a
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat is pointing out that
That's what happened.
well, so
Can you
it
tell
looks
what-
like what it looks like from the heads-up display. It's almost like a video game. I assume all that gray stuff is ocean underneath. There's something that is zipping past out of frame, and the guy's clearly excited because he's getting the camera locked on it, and he gets it targeted. And then at that point, it's just solidly following whatever this little white dot is.
That's right.
Which ironically, the heads-up display now makes it look like a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
So the video just clicked. You can see it there. We can see it. Let's get back. And so the object is black in this, and then it almost is like it inverts.
Well, yeah, it looks like they're switching modes basically with the thermal imaging. Sometimes you want to swap black for white on there.
Yeah. So this is a new clip that has been declassified and released to the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. This is a clip of this is a government clip, so they're saying anybody can FOIA it. It is of this is the third following two videos that came out in December of Navy F-18 fighters identifying unidentified aircraft.
So, okay, there is a strange gap to me that. Let me ask this. What percentage of people watching these are suddenly jumping to the conclusion that it must be space aliens?
Just the percentage of the people who have seen these clips.
Well, my question is, like, I know for a fact that every country on the planet has a vested interest in poking around at other people's borders, and that they have different flying devices of all varieties. So, and at any given time, any one pilot will not know all or be able to identify every single flying thing at all times. So it makes sense that there would be a lot of footage of people freaking out saying, I don't know what I'm looking at, because that's something that people do, is not know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
The curious thing to me is the logical leap so many people make of, like, therefore aliens. And I'm wondering, previously there was a tactical advantage to letting people think these were all aliens. So the United States Air Force, kept throwing out footage and not explaining what stuff is, because they'd rather have people talking and speculating about space aliens than talking and speculating about their experimental aircraft that they were testing and so on. Sure. So the mere fact that they're releasing these makes me wonder why. What's the real conspiracy?
Like, what are they hiding in plain sight?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's my question. What are they hiding in plain sight?
I mean, there's a chance, in one of these, we're watching one of the previous clips from December, and one of the very first lines from is the pilot saying it's a drone. They're believing it's a drone. You see them click the video click that here we can see it again. Here is, you were right, Brian. This is them going to a FLIR mode, an AT FLIR mode, which is infrared. And the object in this clip and in the previous clip, the most recent clip that just came out, the object is black, which represents a high level of infrared response, I believe.
Does look weird. Like, you get that weird artifacting from the compression artifacts on there. It's really easy to look at it like it's a demon bird.
Well, and it looks disc shaped, and it looks rotate. It kind of looks like an old timey UFO, just maybe kind of small.
That's
kind of like the wings, like the Flight of the Navigator spaceship.
Yeah, that's have you noticed? If you catch, visually, especially around sunset, oftentimes you'll have a plane will catch a reflection in just the right way that even though it's clearly a plane, it will look like just a floating disc, like this perfect glowing floating bar.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
And so this is a perspective piece on the Washington Post by Christopher Mellon, who works for the To the Stars Academy for Arts and Science. His response to your question of, well, why would we think it's anything out of this world? Well, he would say, well, because we stopped dreaming. In 2012, funding to the I believe it was the Department of Defense was cut off to identify unidentified aircraft.
I mean, I would imagine now. Keep in mind, like we've talked about this story a while ago. The National Reconnaissance Office, just had a spare, outdated telescope that they just gave to NASA, two of them, and spare parts for a third. And the only rule was never point this at Earth, and also enjoy this 10 times better than the Hubble Space Telescope gift that we're giving you. Sure. My guess is unidentified is a funny word. Like unidentified in public circles, maybe.
Sure.
I don't think that there's a lack of curiosity from our nation's reconnaissance offices to find out what these things are. I think that they are doing the best they can. They just don't want it to be publicly available or searchable or there for FOIA and stuff like that.
This To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science is a private organization that tries to enlist the help of former public servants, people working,
people who know stuff,
who knew stuff,
right?
To find clips exactly like this and to
get those sweet YouTube views. It's in the charter
or something else on the very front of their homepage. But it is still an interesting move that this is a lot. This means that there is a good number of people who are saying something actually mysterious is not being revealed or even looked into. Well, and I think that's where I am seeing at least a string of like credibility to this claim of like the idea of we have this many people saying these real concerns have been ignored.
Well, I think the reason why you're finding why they're going after officials that have come from the military to enlist in their cause is because they know where to ask. Like if you've ever tried to get records from the government, you need to know it's not Battleship, right? Or if it is, you're like Battleship, you are going to have a lot of misses until you get to the hits. And if you have no idea even where the board is, it's going to be impossible. Well, and so stuff like that, like you need to know, all right, we want like this guy on the other side knows what this stuff is or where at least you would find it. And so that's like why you're having them say, okay, when we file these like requests for public information, they know on the treasure map where we should mark the X.
There's a second layer too in that I would imagine, let's say, he asks for 100 clips or whatever. A bunch of them are going to be too clear to where you could clearly say, oh, that's definitely an F-15 or whatever. And then you want that sweet spot where these are perfect because they're fuzzy enough that you can project any kind of UFO vibes onto it, and their reactions are good. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And
although I would say that, look, there's now in an era of publicly available drones, we probably are entitled to as regular ass citizens, the knowledge of like what kind of stuff is flying all over the place, because the skies are only going to get more crowded. More people understand what these things are. So we should probably be more forthcoming, where before it's like some weird weather, balloon satellite thing that we were using to spy on the Russians. No one's going to also have something that does anything like that. But, now, listen, drones are used for a million different things. We should probably have a better idea about what they're doing right now.
So terrified of the first time consumer grade drones get weaponized for some kind of assassination. I mean, it's like, it's insane. There's nothing you could do to stop. Let's say Lady Gaga's performing at the Super Bowl and just 20 commercial grade ones just rocket right in. You wouldn't be able to react in time. They'd chop her all up. Poor Lady Gaga, R.I.P.
Yeah, we can report that now. Lady Gaga died at the Super Bowl.
Who wants to do picks? Because we're not going to get better than that.
And one last thing, because I only have like a cursory understanding of this To the Stars. I don't want to put them out to be a conspiracy group. I think that they're trying to do a lot of very high tech things. Like their website makes it sound like they are working on teleportation technology, but also feature-length films. So I don't know exactly what this group is doing, but they're not just conspiracy nuts. Let's do picks. Do you guys have any picks?
Man, I got a pick. We did a really good event on our other podcast, Night Attack. We had live bands, and we saw Dual Core showed up, and the Possum Posse were fantastic. You should watch that. What's the best way for people to watch that?
Subscribe to the show at nightattack.tv or follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/nightattackshow. We will hopefully have the podcast up. We're trying to have it up by Tuesday. If we don't have it up, we also will try to stream it about the time when the show would go live. So that would be 9 o'clock Eastern at twitch.tv/nightattack. You can follow us there. So yeah, check that out.
Absolutely. On my way back, I watched the new Chris Rock special on Netflix.
Oh, Tambourine. Yeah. How was that?
Good. It's interesting kind of seeing both Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle sort of reemerging after not being in the public eye and seeing kind of where they fit in the modern stand-up landscape. What's interesting is this one's shot by Bo Burnham, who is, if you've never seen Bo Burnham's work, he is just a creative kind of powerhouse, specifically when it comes to shooting live events, which he's done for himself and he does here for Chris Rock. But it's interesting to see Chris Rock's stand-up, which is often kind of as delightful as it is coarse, sort of framed in the very artistic sort of way that Bo Burnham likes to shoot his stuff. So between that and you know, you always want to. Always a good rule when a stand-up comedian goes through a divorce. That's always, that next special is always good, and this is no exception.
Oh, wow, great. And that's a Netflix special, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Very
Tambourine.
cool. I also have a Netflix pick. A lot of new shows have come to Netflix lately, and
New Jessica Jones just dropped.
New Jessica did just drop this past Friday, but actually I binged a show probably for the first time. Like, I haven't done, like, a show binge in a really long time, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'll try to see stuff when I can. But this was, like, I turned it on, and that was the rest of my night last night. And that is the finale season of Netflix's Love with Paul Rust, and it's created by Judd Apatow. It's got Gillian Jacobs. This is a really good show. It's a romantic dramedy of like these two complicated people. Like, they're not like they're not like easy to understand. Like, oh, they're just rude, and they're
It's
the
tough
rude
to
people.
pigeonhole them, just stick them in one category.
Well, right, because they feel I feel realistic elements to them. You know, Gillian Jacobs' character is dealing with sex addiction, emotional love addiction, nicotine and drug addiction, and the ways that she pushes people away as the result of those those psychological elements. But then you've got Paul Rust's character, who seems like a nice guy, but you know, when you sort of look deeper into that personality, you realize, oh, well, that's actually kind of slimy. Like, you are trying to say you have good intentions, but you are kind of being just as toxic and nasty as someone who is outwardly mean to somebody else, you know. And their ability to both recognize those things in themselves and each other, and to try to have a relationship in this very weird scenario, it works really well. And what I like about the format of the show on Netflix is that this is its third season, and this is the end. It's finished.
Oh, wow.
Which is great. You know, so it's like 30 some episodes, if that, and it almost feels like something that would have been a movie, but it doesn't feel like an idea that they took and stretched it further and further and further until it's just watery.
Right.
You know, I think it ends right at a very good time, and
Sticks the landing.
And I think it generally does. Yeah. It's also just really funny. It's kind of some dark humor and like awkward situational humor, but it's really good. I think if any of that sounds interesting, that I think you should check out Love on Netflix.
Love
Awesome.
gets a thumbs up. Try experiencing love.
Pro Love.
Ask your doctor if love is right for you.
Well, we did it, boys. Another weird things in the
Good
can.
job, Andrew.
Thank
Brian
you.
Brushwood, you killed it. You're great.
Then thank
Yeah,
you,
hey,
Justin.
a big shout out to, of course, the host of this show, Andrew Main. You know, you're a real treasure.
Thank you, guys. And with that, we'll leave it like we always do every single week. It's been weird. Hey,
Pew, pew, pew.
good episode, guys.
It was fun.
Thanks for playing in the space.
Got a lot more out of a guy with a pickaxe than I would have expected. I really went
Yeah.
somewhere.
Not what I thought would happen, but it worked out pretty well.
Hey, you want to know what? I think we survived.
We did.
I'm gonna use the bathroom before.
Yeah,
we
me too.
Okay, very cool. We'll do.
Different bathroom though.
Oh, different bathroom, Brian says. Very cool. Put a little music on. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Between Things. That was good. That worked out really well. I have got to put some notes in my doc because I didn't have time to do notes in my doc because I was doing the show. That's fun. There's something about weird things when Andrew's gone that is basically, it's just Night Attack. It's just a different version of Night Attack, but it's just Brian and Justin. It's fun. It's fun showbox. That's what I'm looking for. So pull all your fabulous titles. No, not like that. There we go. How's everyone else doing? You guys having a good Monday? Okay, I'm just gonna click. There we go. Save all your titles, and I'll pick a title later. How's your Monday, guys? How's you guys Monday? I'm doing well. I had mac and cheese for breakfast because I woke up today and I said, I think I would like some mac and cheese. You ever do that, Justin, where you wake up and you say, I want something stupid for breakfast, and then you go and do it?
Sure. Yeah. It usually has coordinated more with me just waking up later. So like, I don't know if I've done like, it's 6 a.m. and I can make, mashed potatoes and pot belly stew, pot pie. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
no,
like,
pot pie, chicken
like
pot pie.
have dinner stuff for breakfast.
Mhm.
Normally it's just me waking up at like noon and being like, I want lunch, but it's also breakfast for me.
Yeah.
Look at me. Here's meatloaf.
I think the thing I do that a lot with is like Kraft mac and cheese,
Oh, gotcha.
where I'm just like, I want
That's a real quicker
It's pretty
a
quick.
quicker way to you can make it fast.
yeah, like 10 minutes or so.
Can I complain about lack of sleep?
Oh, please do.
Oh my God! Can we just punch daylight savings in the face?
Well, number one, so it's like daylight savings time in South by just a problem.
Yeah.
Like if
Just
there's
everything's
any
twisted
weekend-
up. My whole world gets shattered.
If there's any weekend that I could really use extra sleep, like a gift of sleep, let alone like I'm running this sleep at razor thin margins during South by, and like even it doesn't matter whether or not we're like out and like partying or like it's just Brian and I are up until 2:00 in the morning looking at old promo videos or whatever. Like it's just I'm never asleep. Like never is there a like midday like well, I guess we're all wrapped up by midnight. Time to get a good 8 hours. It's like, no. It's always 2, 3 in the morning. And then last night, I thought I was going to be able to come back and like actually get good night's sleep in my own bed.
Mhm.
But a friend of mine wound up flying in early so I could see a friend of mine. I thought it was going to be like a nice little dinner thing. Turns out he like couldn't come into Oakland until like 9. And so then we just get to talking and yada, yada, yada. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, look, another 3:00 night. Except now, like, I definitely have to be up by 6 so I can, do all the things that I need to do on a regular ass Monday.
Yeah.
So it's definitely. What I'm saying is my life is really hard and everyone needs to pity.
No, it hit up because we had a Modern Rogue shoot on Sunday morning.
Yeah, we
So it was gonna be at 10 a.m.
Oh no, it was gonna be at noon.
No,
and
it
then-
was gonna be at 10 a.m.
Oh,
and I asked
Jesus
it to be at
Christ.
noon.
Oh yeah.
I said, hey, South by's the day before.
Yeah.
Couldn't-
Well, and even noon, I was like, don't worry, we'll make it happen by noon.
Sure.
And then,
But then at 6 a.m. you go, you just go on Slack and say, oh fuck, it's daylight savings time. Can we push it back even further?
yeah, can we push it to 1?
Yeah.
And then next entry is 2 or 3 people saying, yeah, sure, great.
And you
then
posted this early, and it was like 6. It was legitimately 6 a.m. when you posted it.
Yes. And then the next photo is Jason
Murphy.
doing a selfie in front of the warehouse saying, when you don't check the Slack before you left. And he was just all of us sleeping until noon.
Oh gosh, crazy. Do you see Florida's trying to get off
Yeah.
of daylight savings?
You know what?
They're
Even if it's they're just tilting at windmills, good on them. Like you set fire to the whole idea. It's
I'd
so
like to know
dumb.
how Arizona, because Arizona does that, and I'd like to know how that works out for them.
I bet if you live in Arizona, it's great because you just don't give an F. But man, is it a pain in the butt for everybody else? Like Arizona doing their thing. Plus, also Arizona is right on the border. So all they do is basically some of the time they're on Pacific time, some of the time they're on Mountain time.
Yeah.
And,
and this is the other thing. So we're getting this in the chat. Arizona is on Standard Time. Florida's trying to stay on daylight savings time.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So they're trying to stay on a different
What,
wild.
and that makes sense. Like if you run a business, you would prefer it be daylight savings time. If you know, like if you have a bar or whatever, you want people getting up while it's dark, working, and then having lots of playtime in the daylight hours. You know that when they expanded daylight savings time, do you know who was behind all that? Where the money came from? Candy
George
companies.
Soros? Oh.
Candy companies like Mars had been heavily lobbying for this because they wanted daylight savings to go past Halloween so that more people would go out and stay out later
longer.
and get more candy.
That's
Oh,
Isn't that
wow.
crazy?
I always heard that it was like an agriculture thing. Like it was like the agriculture lobby.
well, the original daylight savings time was agriculture. It was for farming. And then I also thought part of, or at least how they sold that daylight saving time extension was to save energy.
Well, that's what they said, which was garbage on the face of it. I don't think anybody bought that. But Bryce is like, I did. I
don't
thought
know.
it saved energy.
I'm sorry, I took the Soros Kool-Aid.
No, as I understand it, there's no energy benefits at all, and it was all just for show. And I never understood why they were doing that until I saw
Interesting. That's like I feel like I've talked about, maybe I haven't talked about this on the air. So I'm from Virginia, where the public schools always start the week after Labor Day.
Okay.
Which is different because like here it starts in August, right? And what I heard was the reason that they do it like that is because Virginia has two big amusement parks. It had formerly Paramount's, now someone else's King's Dominion and Busch Gardens, and that the amusement park companies
they make we will make $1 million more this month if school's different. It's probably worth
starts
spending
later.
the money to make schools be different.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Lobbying's a bad thing, guys. No.
Also, apparently super effective. I need a lobbyist stat.
Yeah.
We need weird things
scam
added to the
stuff
educational
mandatory.
curriculum.
I have a little bit of a topic for after things. So you guys want to do that? We can keep it short.
Yeah. Let's jump right on.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to After Things. I am Andrew Main, of course, as always, here in Austin, Texas, joined with Brian Brushwood.
Oh, I was hoping Justin would do the bit.
Hey,
Maybe
it's
Brian would
me,
do the bit.
Brian Brushwood. Whoa, great reps today at the gym for me. I said a couple PRs. I logged all my.
all right,
This is exactly what happened when Brian walked in the studio.
Before we went live, I said I'm going to say this before we go live, just so I can say it without everybody making a thing out of it.
A thing that happened only today.
I did have a PR day.
Yeah, and Justin Robert Young.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a Rush Limbaugh impression. I'm Justin Robert Young. I have a vocoder, and I like to say "see you later."
I always just love that our impressions always act like they've just been awoken. Like, whoa, I'm up. Look at me.
So I have a question for After Things today. And hopefully you guys can help me out with this. I'm working on a new project that I hope to talk in specific detail more about soon. But I think I'm having two sort of roadblocks in it right now, which is just general motivation, trying to like find the energy to say, oh, instead of like watching TV or something, I'm going to start working on this thing.
Right.
And B, trying to navigate a few media that I don't do a lot of. So a part of it is writing. There's some writing and planning stuff that goes into it, but there will also be a podcast element. There's some sort of serialized element alongside music stuff, and so it's kind of a lot of different things that some of which I do and am more comfortable with, and some stuff that I've done occasionally or stuff that I've never published. And so I guess if you guys had any advice on handling either of those things.
I'll tell you what, and I know this started off as a joke, but let's talk about my workout schedule. Basically,
Weird how it got there. It's just so weird.
I
It's out of the
know.
blue.
I know that I don't seem to have any trouble. There's those moments you want to step outside, and I think of life as two versions. You have the first-person shooter where you're running around in the trenches doing stuff, but then also you take the 1,000-foot view. You're playing life as a real-time strategy game, right? And then you could ask yourself questions like, well, it seems like, in general, this Brian that I'm looking at will, left to his own devices, he doesn't seem to have any trouble going to the gym or working out, but he does like to do the easy things like, get on the exercise bike so he can play Hearthstone while he's doing it. And so as the real-time strategy guy, I'm going to spend money, because that's a resource in the video game of life, and I'm going to put him with a trainer who's going to force him to do the things he's not very good at, right? Or is not naturally attracted to. So likewise, if you have a project and you know that's part of it, not that the answer is spend money to get somebody to look over your shoulder, but it can be build structures that naturally will hold you accountable for progress. And whether that structure is, for example, when you're dieting, logging helps out tremendously, or if you have a calendar and you put a check mark on every single day, yes, I did do my push-ups or whatever. You could do the same thing on that. Like what I will often do is set the criteria, make it very, very flexible. For example, when I'm hungry, I know all I want to do is make some macaroni and cheese or some garbage food, but I'll say, Brian, I'm talking to you, myself. You could have literally anything you want. You could eat as bad as you want after you have these carrots. And then, of course, what happens is, you get through the carrots, and you're like, yeah, I'm not very hungry. And you end up doing the right thing. So likewise, if you're bumping up against not making progress on your project because there's aspects that don't come naturally to you, set up a reward for yourself on the other side of that project where it's like you could, oh, I want to watch TV. Well, Bryce, you can watch any amount of TV for any amount of time after you write one page or whatever it is.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I would actually kind of take a slightly different tact and say that a lot of times roadblocks are not necessarily a lack of motivation, but rather a diffusing that happens because you don't understand the problem enough. And so you are creating natural doubt in your head that is dampening your drive to do it. And, for example, if, part of what you are doing is you're fretting about like, man, like I'm working in a medium that I don't really know, then like make the thing that you're doing that day, like just research on the thing, right? Or just, if it's writing, it's like, I'm just doing outlining. I'm literally just going to like do a garbage outline of exactly what I want to do. I'm going to put it into steps, because when we contextualize better, I always kind of, I come back to this like pattern recognizing thing. Like, I think we hesitate when we don't know what this pattern is, or this pattern is unknowable. The more it comes into focus, the more you're actually putting your motivation into it, and I think that sometimes can be a dangerous thing, is thinking that like, oh, I'm lazy, like I'm an unmotivated person because I haven't gotten this done. And sometimes that's the case, but in general, if you've created stuff before and you've already kind of felt that adrenaline of like what it is to like put in effort, release something, and have people kind of understand it, if you're already on that journey, then 9 times out of 10, for me at least, it's more just simplifying the problem and not being afraid to say, well, like, oh man, I got these 90 steps that I have to do. Instead, just being like, no, let me overindulge one tiny little organizational thing. Because for me, that's what I have a horrifying problem with, is breaking down the like, okay, if I want to have this done by 2 months from now, I need to do these 11 steps. I'm really bad at like just writing off yada, yada, yada in my head, 10 of those steps, overindulging on the 3 that I'm really good at, and then getting to the day that it's supposed to be done and being like, oh crap, let me totally burn through all these other things. And so I'll get it done, but it'll be bad and it'll be like not as good. The stuff that I really care about will not be very well served because I didn't take my time on these other things that, like, even if I just would have contextualized let me just learn. Let me literally just spend a day like doing a dumb Photoshop for FanMade,
Sure.
you know, just so I can just be better at and competent at this tool that I am really bad at, instead of just saying, oh, okay.
I think that's a really good point, is reducing the barrier of success. Because oftentimes we have, like, let's say you want to write, like, I don't want to just write a page. I want to write a really good page.
Sure.
And so you set that as your goal and you're like, well, I don't think that's in me right now, so I'm not going to write anything because, you know, I don't want to do it. So, but if you lower that barrier, this is one of Dan Harmon's tricks, is he says there's no such thing as writer's block. If you're not feeling it, you are physically capable of writing. Just give yourself permission to make it abject garbage. Like, just, you are consciously, on purpose, writing total trash that will never see the light of day. The mere act of doing it, you cross a threshold, and now you're in that different headspace, and it's astonishing how quickly it ends up becoming good. Likewise, Tony Robbins talked about a client that he was trying to motivate to, we'll say, go for a mile-long walk every single day. And week after week after week, she was like, no, I didn't do it. And he said, okay, new rule. You don't have to, I'm no longer saying you have to go for a walk. The one thing, and hopefully we can agree on this, is you will put on your walking clothes and put on those shoes. And she's like, okay, fine, yes. And they're like, that's all you have to do. We'll call that success. Next time he saw her, she said, yeah, I know, I felt dumb. I put on the clothes and I put on the shoes. And he's like, great, now you could start walking. And then she cuts him off saying, like, I walked 3 miles. Like once you got that threshold, once you started any part of the journey, it naturally was self-fulfilling at that point.
So there's another element to this, and this is not excusing, because I think that's all really good information. One part of this is that there is a performance element, or there's like a hosting sort of thing, and that's the sort of thing where I could probably that's something that I could practice doing to myself, but at some point I have to sort of bite the bullet and do, you know, a live test or a real thing with other people to do the thing.
So similarly,
so
figure out a version of it with much lower stakes. For example, there's no way to practice magic without another person. You could practice the moves, but the storytelling, the ability to read somebody's personality, figure out where you're connecting and where you're not, you need another person. And so for me, I mean, it was like, you know, my mom was real patient. She watched the same damn routine a million times, and I knew none of this was applicable. It wasn't really fooling her, but having another person made it easier. So if this is something, for example, podcasting or whatever,
Sure.
Just pick up the phone, call a friend, and think to yourself, I'm going to do a 5-minute podcast for this friend. This friend will enjoy talking to me, and I'll tell them in advance, like, you know, hey, Nate Standiforth, it's me. I'm going to practice podcasting. So starting now, I'm going to go 5 minutes of talking to myself like I'm Rush Limbaugh, and go. And then having that immediate feedback really helps, and having a low stakes version of it, it's you are building the structures and the subroutines that you will organically start running when you're doing the actual thing.
Okay.
I mean, look, I'm literally doing that right now. Like, I'm working on this politics thing, and I've like talked to friends, good friends, and like I literally am just doing in my head. I'm like, what do they find interesting? What don't they find interesting? What questions are they asking? And I'm building in my own. This is because it's going to be a departure from stuff that I've done before. Like, I'm a lot more scripted, and I can't rely on the one thing that I know I'm good at in single mic stuff, which is talking, reading the room, creating fun little moments based on things that people are saying, and like making it feel alive and exciting. If I'm just recording a thing without a live audience and then like putting it out, it's a whole different, you know, a ball of wax basically. And like
in Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, Total Recall, he thinks about it through the lens of reps. And, you know, he got started in bodybuilding, right? And he was like, oh, the difference between where I am now and being Mr. Universe is just reps. So get started and make it automatic, make it part of your story. Oh, my job is to play a psychopathic killer robot who knows everything about guns. Well, then I just need to do enough reps of breaking down and reassembling an automatic weapon to where I can credibly look like I know what I'm doing. Same thing with politics. You know, it's like I'm going to meet people day in, day out, every day. My job is to make it comfortable for them and get what I want, just reps. And so he's constantly testing himself, putting himself in a situation with the intention of unlocking new skill sets, because we all have material that we use socially and things that we're already good at. Pretty much everything you're already good at, you're good at because you did it a lot. And so the real question is not how to get good at a thing. The
But
real
how to do
question
something a lot.
how to find a way to do it a lot, right?
Okay. Interesting. I think that's all really helpful. Yeah, it's something. where
So what are you doing?
Which, by the way, for me, in the Magic world, that's why I was
Sure.
so attracted to street performing, because I could
Yeah.
I had unlimited at bats. The worst thing that could happen is people would say you suck and walk off.
Yeah.
And if I did well, I'd have beer money for the rest of the week. And so getting that similar to, as you've heard me say before, find a safe space to be bad so that you can become good, because the one definitely leads to the other.
So Justin was asking what it is. I have been looking for a new music
pickaxe,
project.
isn't it?
That's right. I'm making the world's first musical pickaxe. I call it the axe, the electric axe. I had been looking for a new musical project for a long time, and the last 2 album projects that I had done were very story centric. They were built around the first one was around a short story that I wrote, and the second one was around the movie DOA, and I've been wanting to get back into making more music, because that also has kind of gotten out of my regular sort of thing. And I thought that the best way to do that would be to find a story that I could work collaboratively with people, and the solution, or at least the goal, is to create a D&D campaign that we could be recorded as a real play podcast, like a D&D podcast that I DM, and we have other people to explore the world. And
Well, where will you get any kind of experience doing any kind of role-playing adventure? It's not like you've got talented improvisers with comedy albums that hit #1 on Billboard at your beck and call that you deal with week after week.
sure,
I know.
But it's a different thing to be, because I've been in D&D groups before, and being a player character in D&D is depending on how in character you want to be, can be pretty easy, relative to being a game master, where you have to take all of the things into consideration from
and
all
the
of these
agony,
random people.
I would imagine it's a different skill set, because when you're playing as a player, you get to do whatever you want or whatever you think your character wants, whereas you as a game master have to go through, I would imagine, the agonizing experience of having made beautifully crafted presents that characters just walk right past. Like, you put so much time, energy, and effort for them to walk into this door and discover the surprise party you've planned for them, and then they just walk right past it. You're like, I guess that's not happening.
I think of I'm in a Pathfinder group right now, and we had a one woman who sort of was separated from the group, and she kept coming back and intersecting with us in these very obtuse ways, to where she was clearly trying to get us to go to another city, but for some reason she couldn't just say, go meet me at this city. And so she had to pretend to be some old woman and say her family needed help because there's a demon. And we go, well, we can't help you. We're looking for our friend. And so, and I think that's the sort of thing where, that character had information that they knew they couldn't directly say, but the GM also can't say, well, it seems like this person can't really tell you what they want.
Right.
And a million other little things. But it's a very different thing from the things that I do now, but it's something that I'm really interested in. And so I think all of that advice is really good. And
just break it down.
Yeah.
Break it down, and if you're like, okay, I'm not getting tread on this idea, I'm not progressing with this idea, break that down further. Like
Yeah,
literally,
what's a piece of this idea that I could do
Yeah.
today? That's what really has worked well for me. Is you start with your goals and you break them down into bite-sized chunk, and then you know you're finished when you end up with. And you don't have to do this for every single thing, but when you continue to break stuff down, you end up with something you could do right this minute that will get
Yes.
you measurably closer to that forever someday goal.
Yeah. So, that it's something that I would like to have out sometime this year, because it would be something that would really state a lot of things that I have wanted to do for a while. Both have a podcast project, have a kind of have a more edited podcast
and
experience,
what I
making
like-
music for it.
Yeah, what I like
Yeah.
hearing about this too is that you're using stuff that your day job is you are training full time for this
Sure.
in many ways.
Yeah. And so I'm excited for it. It's just, part of the writing element is that there's a lot of world building, because I'm not taking another existing campaign or an existing world. And so that's where some of it where you can make progress, but it's maybe not always measurable, because it's like, oh, I'm just writing down lore or history and stuff. And so I'm excited to share stuff about that in the future.
Man, how great the spoiler, my pick is going to be Deadwood, because I just finished the first season finale last night. How great would David Milch be as a dungeon master? Like, since apparently that's literally how he wrote the scripts for Deadwood, is showing up high as a kite.
Oh, really?
And just
Oh, yeah.
rattling off dialogue that Ian McShane had to immediately turn around and say on camera.
Well, apparently, that was more NYPD Blue.
Oh, got it.
Like toward the latter seasons of NYPD Blue, he was like, there was apparently some gigantic monologue that like Dennis Franz had that like won him an Emmy, and it was literally just David Milch just being like, this, go, and he would like shoot him, and then be like, okay, and then this, and he would just be making it up on the fly. But the Deadwood scripts, he would write like literally dictation style in the writer's room, and he would just like come up with them sort of like off the top of his head, and then have other people writing it like on a projection, and then periodically other people would like chime in with other ideas or clarifications or questions. But one of the most fascinating auteurs of our time, David Milch. Although I haven't seen Luck. Luck is the only David Milch show that I really haven't watched a lot of.
If we're doing picks, Justin, do you have a pick?
I think, well, Justin just gave his, but me, Brian Brushwood, I'm going to pick physical fitness. No, I don't know. I don't know if I really have. Deadwood is also mine.
Okay.
Deadwood's so good.
I have a pick. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more on Cord Killers, but another new Netflix show that just premiered is Nailed It.
Oh, no, I don't know this
You don't
one.
know this? Okay, so this is more Netflix getting into basic cable stuff, and I love it.
Really?
It is a cooking reality show, or cooking reality competition show, like Chopped or
Oh, is this
Top Chef?
riffing on the Pinterest meme of people trying to do stuff and it comes
people
out
trying to
hilariously
replicate
bad?
cakes. Yes.
Oh, this is great.
And what's great is it's a concept that could be really mean, right?
Yeah.
Because you're taking people who have self-admittedly do not have any skills
I
cooking.
mean, to be honest, you're describing the plot of Modern Rogue. I mean, that's what we do. Is we make shabby potato cannons and then say nailed it.
But when you compare it to other cooking shows, you compare it to Top Chef. This is the same company that made Top Chef,
Right.
And Top Chef is some of the best the best chefs around the world, and their failures are on very slight mistakes but
Yeah.
these are people who have very limited baking knowledge, making desserts, who are being given the recipes. Like they have a big tablet on their screen with exactly how to make the thing that they're making, and the tone. But what's great is that the tone is very loose. It's completely different than a Project Runway or a Top Chef.
It's so interesting to me, this, I guess it's a universal theme over the last 20 years, this movement away from perfection that we've gotten. We've realized that our podcasts, we don't mind when hosts, mix up their words or have to restart or what have you. You don't need to have a perfect radio voice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I adore this trend of us seeing everybody for the flawed humans that we are.
Well, and what's great about this is that it's very jovial, right? Like everyone knows that what they're going to make is not going to look like these masterpieces that they're trying to.
But they're all having a good time, and they're
having a good
genuinely happy when they get close.
Right.
And that's it's funny because that's kind of a lot of where the territory that we've mined on Night Attack and stuff like that is that we know we're not going to win, but you're kind of in a win-win situation if you fail, ha ha ha, we knew that we were going to fail. At least we did it with style. Mm-hmm. And if we happen to get close, it's like, whoa, what an amazing miracle. Like, isn't everything possible in this wild world? Like, but I think what's interesting about that and where I'm excited to watch it eventually is just the idea that reality television, and competition shows, which have a very specific DNA, can have the freedom now to sort of explore itself as an art form, where before it was just kind of like, no, look, we need something that we can turn around 50 episodes of theoretically in 4 different branding variations of Top Chef is Chopped and it's every other a competition thing that you put little twists on, but ultimately they all look and feel the same. And that's reality television. This is reality television as an exploration. It's not just the quickest way between 2 spots. It's also now tropes that we can subvert and do different things with.
Well, it's also fascinating, right? Because you look at Top Chef or Chopped, and this is very similar structurally to Chopped, in that because there's no commercial breaks, there's no need to have these act break tensions.
And nowadays, even if you're watching a show with the commercials cut out, it is distracting and annoying. It's like that's 30 seconds of wasted bandwidth.
Yeah.
You did setting up a thing and then recapping the thing after the break. I'm with you. I like that story-wise you're able to tell tighter, more direct stories.
But also they're longer. These are about 31 minutes compared to 22 minutes for
right
cable.
on.
So you actually get more time with it. And the other fascinating thing is that it is on paper all of the best things about these reality competition shows, right? The failures and the shocking moments, but without any of the emotional baggage, right? Like if they make a cake that is lopsided, it's not, oh no, the end of the world, I'm out of this show. Hey, check it out. Here's one of my many foibles.
Right.
And there's something brilliant about it. I would say if you do watch it, and there's only 6 episodes, which is the other weird thing. If you watch it, I would say watch the first 2 because the first episode feels like they're getting in the groove of it before they finally kind of get it with the second one. Also feels very cheap for the company that works on Project Runway and Top Chef.
I mean maybe that's you look at it on paper. It's a highly speculative risk. It's like, well, let's budget very little money and allow people to go crazy.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Many times in reality television, the question is not, can we get money? The question is, can we get enough money for this to work?
Yeah.
And there another one of the cruel japes of pitching reality television is that very often it's like, okay, well, congratulations. All the suits say you're the best and that everyone ever before was the worst. And we are totally in for the you business. So our offer is $7 an episode. And we may or may not air it.
Yeah.
So now, because we believe in you, you can either disappoint us and walk away, or you can do this for negative $7.
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
Markets fluctuate,
Yeah, it's...
Would you enjoy being paid in exposure?
Yeah.
And I wonder... I wonder how much of that is also the fact that it doesn't have commercial breaks, right? If you're airing something on TV, you can expect that there will be ad breaks and there will be some revenue. Where for Netflix, especially now where it's constantly putting out tons of new shows.
Yeah.
I think that's more it, is that they have X amount of budget pie, and they have an ever expanding idea of what they want to do. And so now, if you're looking to hit X titles, then congratulations. The new thing for Netflix, that a place where we know premier awesome talent comes and does stuff, is who's got an idea they can do for 20,000.
Yeah.
We'll give you 6 episodes for $20,000 an episode, which is like people won't get out of bed for. But if you already got the studio and you already got people,
Like, well, I have this story
working-
about a guy who blogs from his closet and then discovers, this website. It's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we can do that for 20,000 an
Are
episode.
you pitching Guy
and I
Carly?
think-
Oh yeah.
And I think a company like the Chop People, like, look, this is something that they probably banged out in a weekend. Like that's 2 days of work, so everybody can kind of get paid,
and then
come in,
meanwhile,
shoot it, and that'll be it.
They can afford to do that because with Netflix, you get unprecedented metrics on the inside. They don't release anything on the outside, but on the inside, you can know the age and you can know the drop-off points and what is engaging. Like this weaponizing of people's attention and the buttons that can be pressed that, because I assume Netflix's goal is the same as YouTube's goal, which is press play, get started, stay in our trap as long as you can, and not be looking at other stuff.
And with Nailed It feels like this like wave. I mentioned earlier like the basic cabling of Netflix, but we just recently had Queer Eye come out, which I think is a great show. Also very short season. We talked on Cord Killers a week or two ago that they're getting their first home renovation show on Netflix, and maybe this is all testing the market to see what people do and don't want more of, because they do seem like cheaper shows that they could make a lot more of relatively quickly. So
can I ask a dumb question?
Okay.
Are all the guys on the Queer Eye show, they're not the guys from the old Queer Eye show, or are they?
No, they're all new guys.
New guys.
Yeah, all new guys.
So what happened to those guys?
I think most of them went on to do not much. I think one of
They all went straight. They're all straight now. Big shock.
Actually, I'll tell you what, Hollywood, it's faker the closer you get to it.
Though I think one of those Queer Eye guys is the host of Chopped.
Oh, no kidding.
I think he was. But yeah, I don't know how much.
Now they all host the Fox NFL pregame show.
Oh Jesus!
They're spokesman for Home Depot. I don't know. Now we're just getting into.
I didn't realize that was just a full reboot. That they were just like taking that idea, and then like I saw.
Well,
a clip.
so if all of the players are in there, like who owns the? Is it the same production company that did the original?
I would assume.
I would think so. I think so. It's still got the same created by.
Well, because oftentimes the names of projects will be coy. Like when HBO did it and paid for it and owns all the right, it was Mr. Show with Bob and David, right? But Bob and David, I assume HBO is not getting checks from the new project with Bob and David
on Netflix. Yeah.
But that makes sense because you're following talent from point A to point B.
Sure.
But what is the connective thread between Queer Eye and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy?
I really don't know, because also Queer Eye was, for all intents and purposes, a Bravo project. It was Bravo's first big thing.
Hey, do you think Bravo's collecting royalties on that, or?
Maybe, but also
no. Because look, I mean, like they just rebooted American Idol, like at ABC. You can
buy the rights to stuff. Like
the production company, Fremantle Media took their show
because they owned it. Yeah, they're just on a different network. I guess that's what I'm wondering.
They're not going to sell a box set of all of them unless everybody makes a deal, so you can get one box set of the. Although I guess I don't know if Netflix is going to sell a box set of anything. But
yeah, it's weird. I would love to know all that stuff, but you never know how much that stuff bubbles up necessarily. But it's fascinating. I think Netflix doing the stuff of going for not big budget, not prestige dramas and political thrillers
in
and
that
stuff.
Trash. In that trash.
I said this on Twitter the other day. I think in the next 12 months, Netflix announces a reality doc show, like a Real Housewives type show.
Yeah.
Um,
I believe it. Why
'cause
not?
They've
Why
already
not,
got Terrace.
right?
They've already got Terrace House, which is just an import. Why don't they just do it in America? Do an America one. Do something.
So apparently, Scout Productions is the through line. They were the production company with the Bravo show, and they are contracting with Netflix to reboot with a new Fab Five.
Great. And it's a good cast of guys on this new Queer Eye. Good guys.
The clip I watched was they did one with like a Netflix engineer.
Oh
and,
yeah, they did like a 6-minute like digital clip on their YouTube with one of the guys from the Netflix engineering team, and it was like the exact show. It was just on YouTube.
And it was the only thing that I thought was funny was Felicia Day today was like questioning the actual chef skills of the chef guy.
Okay, I saw that.
He apparently has poor knife discipline.
Oh, well, I can't say anything to that. But you know, he's teaching guys who don't know anything, who don't know how to cook anything. It's really simple stuff. And I think, you know, it's not like the guy who every week gets to redo, you know, this person's entire home.
Well,
you know,
also,
you got to teach them something they can use.
They're doing a television show, so if the best chef in the world doesn't fit with the television aesthetic of the chemistry with everybody and the look of everything, like that's how those decisions are actually made. It's not like the onus of us television is on finding exactly the experts for these reality shows. It's like, no, can you hum enough that you can read expert and then, you know, also be somebody that you want to spend time with on television. That's the you know, the operative phrase there.
Oh, one last through line between these two shows, between Queer Eye and Nailed It, is that they're both kind of educational. Like, I think if you watched Chopped, you might pick up some, like, you could pick up some cooking stuff of like, oh yeah, if I'm making venison, I do kind of do this. But it's like, well, on Nailed It, they're like, no, this is the recipe. Here's footage of us doing the right thing, you know. You feel like you're actually taking something away from it in a material sense.
It sounds awful modern roguish, to be honest. I mean,
Mister.
Oh no! I'm not accusing them of ripping off our format, but what I'm doing is I'm taking joy in the fact that we apparently are hitting on the same idea that has worked well for Nailed It.
Yeah. So there you go. Any last things for after things, you guys?
No, Andrew. Just it's too bad Bryce died.
He did die.
Bryce is dead, but guess what? I'm gonna set a PR curling his corpse.
That implies that you've already got a record.
Well, as you know,
Is that how that works?
Justin Robert Young, I don't play any video games, so I guess I'll just play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Hearthstone and with my Switch. Breath of the Wild is so great.
Oh my God. By the way, I forgot my Switch on that trip to Austin. It was agony. It was awful. Planes are made for Switches.
Well, luckily, you don't play video games, so it's not a problem.
No, I'm Brian Brushwood.
No, Brian Brushwood plays a lot of video games. Brian Brushwood loves his Switch.
Game meister. You know, the only thing I like better than a good video game is working out. I love it.
All right, until we talk to you guys next week, it's been after.
Good job, team. Starting to think we might have something
We
here.
did it. We pulled it out. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us in a Monday afternoon. We'll be back in a little bit with Tom Merritt in studio for Cord Killers.
Oh, he's still in town, huh?
Yeah. Do you realize that this episode of Cord Killers will be the very first time in the 4-year history of the show we've done it
in the same room?
We've done it in the same room, or specifically done it in a room together that was built for more than one person. Because like I have done it at his studio, but it's super janky setup, and it's like
it's a piece of trash. It's a real garbage setup. Tom Merritt doesn't know what he's doing.
He's also not good or talented. But also like Bryce was switching remotely between two Skype lines and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah,
let's check that out in a couple hours. Are you doing anything else today, Justin? Do you
1-900 Wrestling at 3 p.m. So in about an hour and a half, everybody can come on over to twitch.tv/Justin R. Young, see me and Willie Dales talking about wrestling.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Until then, though, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.